Hello for the 26th Sunday in Ordinary Time, using the first reading Amos 6 and Luke 16. And it has to do with how do you sell your message and to move more people. And I'd like to take an example from this week and then one from way back. This week is the message it's in the Lexington Herald Leader on Wednesday, of this Greta Thunberg. This little 16-year-old girl from Sweden who spoke to the United Nations and their summit there. She spoke to 66 countries. She spoke to a group that pledged $790 million. Bill Gates $310 million, and the World Bank and European governments and other to make $790 million for small farmers who are trying to adapt to climate change. And she really gave a little talk in the midst of all this, and the theme was, how dare you do this to us, the younger generation? A little excerpt out of Lexington Herald Leader. Before world leaders made their promises in 3-minute speeches, the 16-year-old Thornburg gave an emotional appeal in which she scolded the leaders with her repeated phrase, "How dare you?" "This is all wrong. I shouldn't be here," said Thornburg, who began a lone protest outside a Swedish parliament more than a year ago that culminated in Friday's global climate strikes. "I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you have come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and yet all you can talk about is money." Thornburg said, "You are failing us." Later, she and 15 other youth activists filed a formal complaint with an arm of the United Nations that protects children, saying that government's lack of action on warming is violating their basic rights. I just found this historical happening to be amazingly powerful to help change people's insights and attitudes. Well, I think Jesus Christ has done the same thing in the gospel. I couldn't help but compare him not a week ago, but more than 2,000 years ago. He spoke a story, or he spoke a parable. And you know it, I just read it. A rich man, we call him Dives, and a poor man, we call him Lazarus. And in that parable, heart-wrenching setup, the dogs even came and licked his sores, licked Lazarus's sores. And gladly he would have eaten the scraps that fell from the table. And then they both died, Dives and Lazarus. And Lazarus went to the bosom of Abraham, or what we call heaven. And Dives went to the underworld with torment, which we sort of call hell, I guess. But at any rate, this parable is still moving people today. And in that story of Dives, his plea, "Don't let my 5 brothers come here. Have someone rise from the dead and go tell them." And the answer was, "They have Moses and the prophets. Send someone from the dead and they will listen and repent." No. If they don't listen to Moses and the prophets, they won't listen to anybody who rises from the dead. Well, the epilogue of that is not that the rich are bad, or the rich are all like Dives, or that the poor are all good, like the goodness of Lazarus. But I think Jesus is trying to change our mentality. Now, I don't know if you agree with this, but to me, it really makes a lot of sense. Instead of just condemning everybody or falsely making every good, I think Jesus was trying to say this: people with privilege and power are called to move to the bottom and to destroy the illusion, if they have it, the illusion of their supremacy. I think Jesus looked around and saw a lot of that in the wealthy. Well, the other side of that is even better, I think. The people who are marginalized and deemed inferior in society, they are invited to realize that their inherent value and that they belong. The marginalized and the deemed inferior in the world attitude, they're invited to realize that they too are special, because everybody is special and infinitely loved by God. I think that this is one of the bottom line reasons why Jesus moved toward the poor, that he gave an option, or he leaned toward the poor, the lame, the blind, the sick, the deaf, the lowly, the marginalized, or the people that deemed they were inferior. I don't know about you, but if you understand that with this story, you won't worry about this who's wealthy and who's not. You don't worry. You feel the invitation that all of us, 2,000 years later, not since last week, 2,000 years later, we need to watch out that we think we're superior. We need to think that the least of my brethren is included, belongs, and need to be brought up into a standard of living. I don't know. That's, I guess, one of Hehman's The Word of God with a Twist. What do you think of this reading or this comparison? Have a good day.